The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Renato knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Iblis Stone was hidden there. It was a dangerous artifact. It could corrupt its user into a bloodthirsty monster. Maybe he could find a way to use it, to take its power without surrendering to its wickedness. And also, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Of course, Renato had a pretty strong suspicion that Lapino had betrayed the rebellion, and he had a gut feeling that he needed to use that to his advantage. The island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis Stone. It would whisper promises in his ear, offer him power for blood. But this time, Renato was sure he could master it. And so, Renato went ostrich hunting. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals? Ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. Then he hadn't come too late. Wait, what? How was he outside? Hadn't he taken an elevator into the depths of the Earth? There had to be some way to use the Iblis Stone. It was old, wasn't it? People were so much cleverer now. And Renato was pretty sure he was cleverer than The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with Tomb Raiders.
weapons engineer, Renato would make the cannonballs go much faster. I mean, fire randomly, obviously.
It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. I can make you mighty. Who said that? Give me blood. It was the stone. Eager, thirsty. Kill the Emperor's daughter. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and he had a sneaking suspicion the gem would try to control him. Why not capture the core of Skyripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. Not the core, said the stone anxiously.
But even though Renato knew how evil the gem was, he had a clever plan for dealing with it.
Why was he listening to a talking rock?
But the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old toad had sought for himself.
To be a hero, you had to sacrifice old friends sometimes, especially when they've become enemies.
As he placed the impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Renato had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun.
Was it the time of the lost gods before the transcendent Emperor? Was it the future? Feed souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls, its thirst for blood. All right, I get it. This was going to be interesting. The ravens on Zenobia's island were no match for Renato. They screamed as the stones sucked up their souls. And with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him.
He couldn't do worse with Zenobia than he'd done with the core, could he? Zenobia was waiting for Renato. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws.
Are you here to surrender? She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone. And I've missed you too, love. He chuckled.
She spotted the stone and bolted without another word.
Finally, Renato caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before. At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way. Kill her, whispered the stone. You cannot win your rebellion without it. Please. No, said Zenobia. Not that way. Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be? Reynardo hesitated. Zenobia was his greatest enemy. She was the Emperor's daughter and his greatest general, and the single person Reynardo least wanted to remove from this world, especially that way. She was holding her arms out before her, hands fluttering, fending him off with hopeless urgency. Nope, she was weaving a spell. He couldn't move.
This thing is evil, she said. She slid the Iblis stone out of its slot in his gauntlet and slipped it into a bag. Maybe we can learn from it.
She eyed him with a strange, wry, apologetic look. I missed you too. And before he could move again, she was gone. Learn from the Iblis stone? What did that mean? Would she take it to the palace or to the observatory on the Nexus? If she thought it was evil, she wouldn't want it in the palace.
And, after all, it was evil, wasn't it?
Maybe I can outrace her to the observatory, thought Reynardo. Cats can run faster, but foxes can run longer. Reynardo felt a little sick. Ever since Zenobia had taken the stone from him, he'd felt an ache that wouldn't go away. He missed it. He wanted it back. He needed it back. Why hadn't he killed her when he had the chance? She was the enemy. He hadn't even seen her in 14 years. Why had he hesitated? You were a sucker for an empowered woman. Reynardo kicked himself. Don't make that mistake again. Zenobia thought the stone was evil. Was it?
Well, yes, but he still longed to have it back.
He'd felt so good killing ravens with it, and yet he'd felt unclean ever since he'd touched it. She confused him. She'd made him want to be a better fox, and then she'd abandoned him, never telling him she was the Emperor's daughter, never contacting him since. Well, who was she to tell him the stone was evil?
These were no ordinary cannonballs. One thing, ordinary cannonballs were black.
The scientist's toes were pointing arcane instruments at the stone and looking at it through prisms and reflections.
Mine, said Reynardo as he took back the stone.
Well, we need it for science, croaked the toads. So he killed them. He felt better immediately. Smarter, too. How fortunate you never come for me, whispered the stone.
Then, a far-speaker toad croaked in something like Zenobia's voice.
Reynardo, leave the stone with the toads. It will swallow your soul. You'll kill everyone you love.
That did seem vaguely familiar, but Reynardo had an army to lead, an empire to bring down. Whispered the stone. It was right. Wasn't Zenobia the Emperor's greatest general? Wasn't Reynardo fighting for the rebellion? Of course she wouldn't want him to have it. Wouldn't you be a better emperor than Isaac III? Added the stone. You know what? I would, thought Reynardo. Or maybe he said it out loud. He would go see the council and lead their armies to victory. All he had to do was call them on the far speaker. Ah, damn. Well, wouldn't they be surprised anyway? Ah, the ruins. Reynardo had come there as a kid when it was still the fabulous city of Ubar, before the Emperor's ravens had come to pillage ancient books from its library and destroyed it. Now the rebel council lay hidden underneath the ruins. And between here and there, all these ravens to kill. They deserved it for what they'd done to the city. And the faster he could kill them, the more of a rush they gave him. Hypatia had been the first woman who'd ever tried to convince Reynardo he was smart. He knew he wasn't nearly as clever as he thought he was. But she'd pushed him to think things through. She had a vision of him that was better than his own. Tried to be nice to Zenobia, not killing her and all. What did she do? She stole the gem from him, made him kill all those scientists. Yeah, next time she'd see. Whispered the stone. Ravens? Reynardo knew how the stone felt. Each raven he killed gave him a little jolt of pleasure. But he could only kill them so fast, and the pleasure wore off too quickly. Hopefully soon he would face a more powerful adversary. Yes, whispered the stone. But not with a bunch of mangy ravens. Reynardo wondered if he could learn to cook this way. Probably not. As he reached the secret entrance, he was shocked to see Zenobia talking with the council. She bore a white flag. The council has betrayed you, whispered the stone. Kill them. What are you doing here, love? Reynardo demanded. Come for the brown muffins?
She's worried about you,
Croaked the council speaker.
we all are.
You're not yourself, Zenobia said. Before they could get into the rest of the intervention, he leapt at her. Unfortunately, the council speaker blocked him, so he slew her and the other council members. I'm not giving up, cried Zenobia as she darted off into the ruins. I think I just killed the entire rebel council, said Reynardo.
See how much power they've given you.
But they were on my side, weren't they?
No one is on your side.
He set sail for the fleet. There, at least, there would be enemies to kill. Unless that was the Iblastone talking. He could never be sure. Anyway, who needed other rebels here? They'd only get in the way. A true hero fights alone after he's got all his friends killed. There it was again. The back door to the portal that went to the center of the fleet. Unless that was the Iblastone talking. He could never be sure. Anyway, who needed other rebels here? They'd only get in the way. A true hero fights alone after he's got all his friends killed. There it was again. The back door to the portal that went to the center of the fleet. The world was so beautiful. Everything was glowing, breathing, alive. Except, okay, the ravens he'd killed. But the wind was alive, like a million fingers caressing his hair. He'd never felt so powerful. He'd never felt so sexy. Somewhere down the path would be the Emperor. Renato would slay him, most powerful man in Erda. The Iblastone would give Renato all that power. Then he would set everyone free. At last, he was face to face with Zenobia. She was still unarmed. No fire crackled from her claws.
Excellent. Kill her,
Whispered the stone. He raised his sword for the killing blow. Is this what you really want? She asked. Or is it what the stone wants?
Think of the power.
Insisted the stone. I don't want to kill you, he told Zenobia, his arm still raised. I know, but he could not put the sword down. It wants blood, he told her. I know. Oh, help me, he said. She stabbed herself. Take my blood, she said.
No,
cried the Iblastone.
Oh no! Why did you...
He ran to embrace her, and she plunged her bloody dagger into his heart. Why? He said. We'll be together in the halls of the Valiant, she said. I love you, he said. Thank you. And the Iblastone screamed, and then it began to glow. It burst into flames. It burned like an ember. And then it was ash that blew away in the wind. And Zenobia and Renato died in each other's arms.
Oh, again?
But he already had all the secrets he needed. He was sure of that. He must have not used them the right way. What was the best, worst mistake he could make? Probably trusting that traitor Lapino. The book's pages fluttered to the beginning once again. Faster than before? And he fell.
Special thanks to my patrons Heaven Over Hell, Justin Wood, Hobbs, Koopy Vegeta, Gunrunner and Water.